Hey, thanks for downloading Inventory Now. This video is to give you a summary of the app and to provide an overview of the different features. So this first screen is our main screen. This is our item list. This screen allows you to get an at-glance view of all your inventory and to search and filter items and also to add new ones. So this bar up top is a filter bar that allows you to view items of a particular status. Note that the statuses here only appear if they're applicable. So the shipping tab, for example, will only show if you have items that are sold and awaiting shipment. Your for sale tab will only show if you have items that are for sale, and items that will show there are items that have been bought and not sold yet. You'll also find a search bar at the very top, which sometimes hides under that status filter bar. But if you click into the search bar, you can actually search through all your items to try to find the item you're looking for. And it searches not just through the name, but it also searches the category, location, and even your notes. At the bottom is a filter bar, which allows you to further filter the items in the status bar. So you can filter the items of a particular category, or you could even change the sorting of that screen to sort by various fields, including the modified date, which is pretty nice. You also add items from the screen, and there are two ways to add new items. You can either press the plus button at the top corner of the screen, and that'll give you a blank page to start entering your details. Or you can press the barcode button, which is going to prompt you to scan a barcode from your item. And if that item is not found, it's going to add the product for you. It's going to do it. Look up from a UPC database online to see if it can find that item. And in this case, it's pre-filled my item name. And it's even giving me a nice image and pre-filled my unit buy and sell prices. Of course, I can always change those if I'd like. So now that you've added an item, you want to buy some stock. So let's say I bought 10 of these for $2.50 each. And once I have items bought, I can sell them. So I'll come here and I'll sell these. Say I sold 5 of them. And this is all reflected on my summary. And I can see that I've now sold 5 out of 10. I have 5 more left. 5 of them I need to ship. And all these other counts are adjusted. Now, since I've sold some and I need to ship them, I come over here, mark as shipped, and I mark them as shipped, and now that's all updated there. Now let's look at the item view screen. So if we've already added the item, then we're not going to assume that we're coming here to edit. Instead, you're in view mode and you can view this data, and there's a action bar on the bottom that you use to buy, sell, and mark an item into a different status. However, if you're first adding an item, or if you want to edit, you would just tap that edit button and you'd be in edit mode, and then you could start editing the metadata. So we have some fields we can add. We can add the item name. We have a category. We have a location, a date, a barcode, and then we have our counts. The available and shipping counts are being automatically calculated here. They're not editable. But we also have unit buy and sell prices, and then total cost and revenue, and our profit again is calculated. We also have a notes field where we can just enter any kind of random stuff. And we have the ability to add an image. So after we've added a lot of inventory, one thing we might want to do is we might want to see a summary of all of our inventory. So that's what this tab does. This gives us an overview of kind of where we are in terms of what we have on hand and how much money we've made, how much money we've spent, and all those sort of things. We can even tap here to filter this and view like only a specific category or whatever if you want. Now this settings tab is very important. This is where you're really going to personalize and set up the app for your business. So we'll get into the sync account in a little bit, but first let's start with the import export section. So I highly recommend you link your app to Dropbox. That'll allow you to export your inventory to Dropbox. You can also export to email, and if you'd like, you can apply an export filter to only export particular items. But what I recommend doing as well is use this auto Dropbox backup feature. And with that enabled, you're going to generate and save a new file to Dropbox every time you exit the app, and that file is going to contain all of your inventory. And the purpose for doing that is that if that's enabled, you never have to worry about data loss. You know, if you break your phone, or if God forbid I push some stupid update that has a bug in it, like your inventory will always be there in Dropbox, and you can always roll back no matter what happens. To import your data from Dropbox, you can click on this import Dropbox row, and that's going to allow you to select a file to import. And it's going to look for those files inside your Dropbox folder in a special folder called apps/inventory tracker. And if you want the file format to import here, just do a quick export first, and that's going to export a file to Dropbox, and then you can edit that and make it equal to the data that you want to import and follow that format. So let's talk about the product lifecycle. So the lifecycle that's used by this app, the full lifecycle, is you buy an item, then you receive it, then you sell it, then you ship it, and then the item's delivered. Now, you can disable some of those statuses if you don't want them. The ones that are enabled by default are bought, sold, and shipped. Now, bought and sold, you can't disable. Those are always going to be enabled. But you can turn off shipped if you want, and you can turn on received and delivered if you want. So let's just turn all those on just so you can see what it's like. So now we have many more counts on our item screen. We have more actions to mark as, and we have more statuses up here to filter through. Aside from enabling and disabling those core statuses, there are a couple other options that are available here. Autocomplete items, with that enabled, which it is by default, that will make it so that as soon as your product reaches the end of its life cycle for all of the quantity that you have available, it's going to move it to complete by default. So that's this last tab here. Otherwise, you have to come into the item and actually mark it as complete by hitting edit and saying complete item. This status allow back orders. When that's enabled, you'll be able to sell more items than you have. So here, I've bought 10. Usually you could only sell 10, but because I have back orders enabled, I can sell 15 if I want. And with that enabled, now I have items in my for sale status that I wouldn't have had before. And also have, for items that are back ordered, I have this back ordered status. Now, this last one I want to show you, check in, check out only, is completely separate from everything I showed you so far. So with this enabled, received and shipping and delivered all go away. And this assumes that you're not buying and selling inventory. This assumes that you're checking in and checking out inventory. Let's talk about the point of sale functionality that's built into Inventory Now. So Inventory Now is not a full-scale point of sale system. However, it can be used as a lightweight replacement for a point of sale system. So let's talk about how that works. So when I sell an item, not only do I have the big save button to just save normally, I also have an add to cart button just below that. And if I use that, then from this main screen, I see a shopping cart up top where I can view my current shopping cart and complete this order. And that allows me to check out with PayPal here or with Square. And these integrations launch the Square app or the PayPal here app and allow you to take credit cards or to scan with the Square or PayPal reader. Or in this case, I'm just going to take a cash payment because I don't have my Square connected. And it works pretty nicely. Now there are two features that are going to help make this even easier. So if you prefer checkout when selling, then when you sell an item, that add to cart button is going to be more prominent. And if you try to tap the save button, you're going to have to tap it twice to make sure you're not doing it on accident. The other feature that's going to help you is register mode. With register mode enabled, the app is in a mode where it's only wanting to allow you to sell items through your point of sale. So we're no longer able to see your unit costs and your profits and all these fields that you may not want a customer to see. And you can't edit your items. All you can do is sell. And of course, when you're done with register mode, you can just turn it back off and the app goes back to normal. So there are a few other things we can do here. Manage categories basically allows us to move items from one category into a different one, which will allow you basically to rename a category or remove it. These two options, rename category and rename location field, allow you to change how those fields display in your app. So if you don't use category but you want to call it like size, and maybe instead of location you want to call it color, you can do that, and then it just displays slightly differently on your screen. Now if you want to change from the US dollar to a different currency, we can do that too, but we don't do it through the app. You actually come in here to your location settings. You change the region. And once the region has been changed, then all your currencies are going to show in that new currency format. Note that we don't actually convert between currencies. This is really just for display. And also, when we use the Square and PayPal integration, we do pass off the currency type to those point of sale apps, and so they'll still be charging the same amount of that currency. The datasets feature allows you to manage completely separate sets of data in different silos, basically. So if I had maybe like 2 stores, or maybe I wanted to keep my personal inventory separate from my work inventory or something like that, that's what's achievable with the dataset feature. So if I switch to the secondary dataset, now I see items that are there, and my summary values are also reflected. And then my main dataset shows everything. Alright, so now that I've shown you most of the core features, let's talk about the syncing. So up top we'll see a section for sync account. If you click into it, you're able to browse our subscriptions. So by default, everybody has the free account, which locks the app to only be able to add 25 items. And there's also no syncing features enabled. However, if you choose to update to the personal subscription or the pro subscription, you'll be able to add as many items as you want, and you'll be able to transfer that data between devices. So basically I just selected a subscription, then I created an account with Inventory Now, and then I logged in with my iTunes account, and that enrolled me in a subscription starting with a 7-day trial. and that subscription is going to auto renew every month. But what I get from that is I can now add as many items as I want. And also, every item that I add is going to get constantly synced. And the syncing is pretty advanced, so as you're working, your items are just constantly being synced up to a cloud server, and every time that you go to edit or change a new item, you're always going to be reading that data to make sure you're editing the most up-to-date values, and that just, it's great because it allows multiple people to be able to manage the same data and to view it from multiple locations, and it really will help your business to kind of thrive and to handle their inventory in the most effective manner possible. So thank you for using the app. Thank you for learning about it. If you need any help, scroll on down to the support section and don't hesitate to shoot me an email. Thank you very much.